Hello, and welcome to the Biomass Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Anna Simet, and we are here live at the International Biomass Conference and Expo in Atlanta. My guests on this episode are Michael Lindley, Vice President of Sales and Marketing at West Salem Machinery. We also have Cory Stouder, Sales Manager. Welcome, Michael and Cory.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It is our pleasure. I think to start, we'll have you guys tell us a little bit about West Salem and what you guys do there.
Sure. West Salem, we're an interesting period of the company. We're 80 years old. Cory likes to call us the OG of grinders, and as in the original grinder. We are always been electric. We've always been focused on green waste resizing and sizing. But why I say it's an interesting time is that we've been recently purchased. We were purchased in 2023 by Brooks. And with that, there's been some new and exciting changes in our ability to work with Brooks and offer some more diversified and broader offerings.
Very good. So let's just jump right into things. How does West Salem help customers maximize material recovery and reduce waste?
So West Salem takes an interesting approach compared to most of what I've seen in the marketplace, and it's mainly around the application. So we're customer focused. So instead of having the typical I build XYZ and it fits everything, I'm going to sell you XYZ, it's what are you trying to accomplish? How can we use our years of experience to tailor make or tweak our design to fit that client's application the best? So I think that's what sets us apart from a lot of the other industry people.
Okay. When you say years of experience, how long have you guys been around?
80 years. Oh. 1947.
Wow.
Yeah, to be exact.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
Very cool.
And kind of to Cory's point, is there anything we haven't ground in 80 years is more of the question.
Yeah? What's the most unusual thing?
I hate to say animal bones is something that came up recently.
Wow.
Yeah. And carpet's another one that's really hard to grind.
That sounds hard to grind.
Filters, media filters for like your house. Because there's media in there that's worth a lot of money to recover.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Okay, so guys, tell me, what are the advantages of using one of your electric grinders over a mobile diesel grinder?
I'm not going to steal Cory's thunder. I think this is his story to tell.
All right.
So a lot of the diesel grinders, they've been around a long time, and they have their place. I mean, but they're mobile. They can go out in the bush. They can do things that electric grinders aren't feasible to do. But once you've come back to the plant and you've parked it and it never moves again, like you can go to electric and save drastically. I have one client that is a mulch producer, and at one point he cut his cost by $4 a yard by switching into our gear. Wow. And in the mulch business, that's a huge savings.
Yeah. Just to add to that. To Cory's point, mobile grinders certainly have a lot of applications where they are the choice. But when it comes to electric grinders, the big advantages you also get is just the simplicity.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have the fuel, they don't have the hydraulics. They're pretty much an electric heavy rotor.
Yep.
The mashes and smashes and grinds things up, and it's just that level of simplicity is easier for operators to maintain, and we like to think there's a little bit of a lower cost of ownership in the long run.
That makes sense. So do you guys produce the same machine every time, or can you talk about tailor it to the client?
Yeah, so good point. I'd like to say 80-20 split.
Okay.
The idea is that 80% of the machine is stock, something we carry, we've built over and over again, it's very reliable, years of experience behind it and use. But the 20% is tailor-made to the client. And then what I mean by that is we might tweak a chute, we might tweak the tooling, we might horsepower it differently or drive it in a different fashion based on their specific application, either in due to the product or the fiber they're processing, or due to location, power requirements, where they're at.
Right.
So we try to take a holistic approach to that.
Got it. Okay. So tell me, what's a real success story where West Salem's equipment completely transformed a customer's operation?
I'd go back to the one I was talking about with the mulch. It's the most recent in my mind.
Okay.
To be honest, I've worked for West Salem 15 years now, and I've seen it over and over again.
Yeah.
Where at first, clients that have only used a certain XYZ brand, they're a little timid or maybe not so much scared, but just unknowing, almost, lack of a better term, ignorant. They don't know. So we're the new kid, right? They're getting big enough they can afford to get into stationary. We're bringing stuff to a plant location. And like I said, we could save a lot of money doing that. I mean, $4 a yard is huge.
Yeah.
And less touching of the product. They push it to our system, and you input on one end, and you get finished product out the other end, and no hands in between.
I'll refrain from giving the customer name. That's not fair.
Yeah.
But I will say this customer of ours is one of the largest operators in the great state of Texas,
Okay.
and has a huge fleet of mobile grinders. And to Cory's point, this is the first time that they've invested in electric, which is like, it's almost like a mind shift change for them. Like, okay, we're going to go from knowing all of this about mobile grinders to now we've got this stationary electric, and they are delighted. I don't mean to be arrogant or pat ourselves on the back, but it is so cool to see a client immediately see the advantages of an electric grinder.
Absolutely.
And now looking to say, okay, how do we do more with this?
Yeah.
Because the savings has been almost immediate.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so how does West Salem ensure long-term reliability and low maintenance for its equipment?
We kind of take the simple approach. Simple is better. So if we can take electronics out, or we can keep it to a mechanical fix that's been proven in the industry for years and years, that's what we'll drive it to. Now, we're not afraid to innovate. So if it does take a client or somebody who's tech savvy and wants a certain feature or a certain way of doing it, we're not afraid to try that and actually take like an R&D and do one serial number one. But it's usually based on history or something we've learned in the past 80 years that makes it successful.
And just to add to this, we won't tip all of our cards yet, but to Cory's point, we do take pride in our innovation. And there's a lot of new technologies available now that weren't in the past that we can help operators best maintain their equipment, kind of indicate when they should be doing maintenance or when tooling is wearing down. And I think if we can provide that level of value to them, they get the best out of their investment. And it's something that we're seeing in the market of operators often need a little help from the OEM to get the best out of the equipment that they just purchased. And that's something we take seriously.
Yeah, we even have built to last as kind of our tagline, and it's on our wall in the office, and we ask people when they, like, if they're going to QC in the shop, it's talked all the time. Hey, is that built to last? Is that good enough for the client? You know?
Love that.
And we stand behind it. So I mean, that it's not a tagline; it's a motto.
Like the refrigerators built back in the 70s.
Exactly.
They're still going, right? But now you can buy one these days and it dies after 2 years.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
It might have more features. It might look cooler.
Yeah.
It doesn't do the actual job. And I like to tell clients a lot of times our grinders are like the working class guy. It shows up every day. It puts in its 10 hours and it runs and runs and runs. You forget you own it. That's what you would like that.
That's awesome.
And from a marketing perspective, we love to tell those stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of cool to have. It's tough on new equipment sales, but at the same token, we take a lot of pride in the fact that we've got a lot of machines that have been in the field 10, 15, 20 years.
I've got clients from they bought it in the 80s. It's still running.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is.
Yeah.
We have that long-term relationship, and that's, to Cory's point, that's something we really value. Is this is not a transaction. They're investing in a piece of equipment, but they're also investing in the relationship with West Salem. We take that seriously, and we're going to plan to support them for sometimes decades.
That's just good business.
It's
guys.
just good business.
Yeah. Okay, my last question is, you guys were founded in 1947, as you said, and you were recently sold to Brooks Seawertel.
Yep.
How has that changed your business?
Yeah, not as much as you think.
Yeah.
You know, I think when you get purchased by a bigger company and you know, certainly an international company, you know, Cory can speak to this more because he went through that, but there's always nervousness.
Yeah.
Are they going to change the way we do things? Are they going to want us to cut corners to increase profit? Are they going to change our commitment to our clients? And it's a true pleasure working with Brooks. They share the same kind of mindset that this is a long-term commitment. I think the other thing that with Brooks being an international company, there's a lot about sustainability.
Yeah.
And we're trying to incorporate that into, you know, some of the things that we're doing with our manufacturing processes and just how we conduct ourselves.
Yeah, I think internally we had some folks that were nervous about it because it's been a family-owned company for so long.
Yep.
But the nice thing is when you have a good recipe, you don't change the recipe. And Brooks understands that, and that was nice. So they came in, looked, and if doing things right, you don't have anything to worry about.
Sounds like a great match.
It is. Yep. And it's allowing us too to, I'd say, provide bigger solutions.
Yep.
You know, we're not just selling just a standalone grinder. Quite often, We've got conveyors or screens feeding the grinder, conveyor screens taking things away. We can pull trucks in for truck dumps and stacker reclaimers and really take on a bigger scope of work.
Yeah, we can kind of take on the whole wood yard now, where before we could only partner with people and get in with where we did well.
Right. Okay, well, I'm at the end of my questions, guys. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap things up?
I think we'd just like to share. It's been a fantastic show.
Awesome.
It's really fun to collaborate and chat with people on the field or on the floor. I think there's more oftentimes to work together than to compete against each other.
Absolutely.
Within this group. I'm excited about the future.
Yeah.
I really am. I think there's some really cool innovation going
I think
on.
you'll see West Salem on more and more.
Yes.
Yeah. Hope to see you guys in Nashville next year.
Watch out for us.
We'll be there.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, you guys, thank you so much. Been a pleasure chatting with you, Michael and Cory, and I hope you have a great rest of the show.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. And to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time.